I'm Leslie Earhart with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. We thought we would take a few minutes to update you on the search for 5-year-old Summer Wells. As you know, she was reported missing from her home on Ben Hill Road in Hawkins County on June 15th. Unfortunately, there's still more questions than answers, but we haven't given up, and we won't. Agents and detectives with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office continue to work daily to determine what happened to Summer.
But we're still looking, we're still searching, we're still following tips. And one thing that we need to do is preserve the integrity of this case, because we can't tell everything we're doing. We can't tell everything we know. And a lot of stuff that we get called on, we've already done several times.
We want to urge you only to share information from official sources. The misinformation and speculation simply don't help the case. Our teams continue to sift through hundreds of tips, and it turns out most of them are rooted in rumors and bad information spread on social media.
That causes us confusion with all the tips that we get and we're going through. A lot of it is coming off of social media. And what we want to do is get more tips that we can rely on to help us find Summer. And that's our whole goal, is to find Summer.
We appreciate your partnership and ongoing interest in the search for Summer. Please know, as much as you want answers, we want them more. We ask that you understand that our priority has to be figuring out what happened to her. And as Sheriff Lawson mentioned, in order to preserve the integrity of the case, that might mean we cannot share everything we know. Stay connected with TBI on social media for ongoing updates in this case as we are able to share them. Good morning, everyone. I'm Leslie Earhart, a Public Information Officer for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Before we get started, I want to stress that the investigation into the disappearance of Summer Wells is very much active and ongoing. Please understand, in order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we simply can't speak to specifics. We appreciate you being here today and your continuing coverage of this case. At approximately 6:30 p.m. on this day, 1 year ago, Summer Wells, who was 5 years old at the time, was reported missing from her home on Ben Hill Road in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County. When we held the first media briefing on June 16th, honestly, we expected to have good news to report by the time the next media briefing came around. Unfortunately, instead, day after day ended in frustration and disappointment. At that time, no one expected that we would still be searching for Summer 1 year later. We've said from the beginning, this case is outside the norm. There are few clues as to what happened to Summer, despite investigators doing everything within their power to find answers. All possibilities are still being explored. Many of you have asked for details about what's been done over the last year. I can tell you agents and detectives have spent thousands of hours on this case. Numerous search warrants have been executed, cell phone data has been analyzed, and any other available digital evidence has been collected, searched, and documented. This includes the social media accounts of those associated with Summer. 3 large ground searches have taken place in the last year with the assistance of more than 100 local, state, and federal agencies. Those searches do not account for the numerous targeted searches done by agents and detectives as they were following up on potential leads. From TBI alone, more than 100 agents, intelligence analysts, and support staff from across the state have been involved in this case. TBI agents working alongside the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and the FBI have conducted nearly 170 interviews during the investigation. That does not count the hundreds of phone calls made to follow up on tips reported to law enforcement. While investigators have been diligently working to find answers, they've had to deal with thousands of tips generated by false information that in some cases has been intentionally spread across social media platforms. We know that this case has attracted the attention of individuals across the country who genuinely care about Summer and want nothing more but to help us find answers. We appreciate those people. However, we are also aware that there are some people using this case for their own personal gain by spreading false information on social media posed as facts. Some go as far as to solicit donations. This has had a major impact on the investigation and not in a good way. Moving forward, we ask the public not to submit tips as a result of a video they viewed on YouTube or a theory they've seen posted on Facebook. Please help us and only call if you have direct, specific information about the disappearance of Summer. This investigation weighs heavily on us all, and I can promise you that no one wants answers more than we do, and we are not going to stop until we find them. I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson.
Good morning. As Leslie mentioned, we didn't expect this case to be going on a year later. It's heartbreaking to me and my officers and the entire community. We've never stopped looking for Summer. We'll continue to do so. There's never been a case in the history of Hawkins County Sheriff's Office that had officers working 365 days and had so many hours spent we had in this investigation. Also, this office has never utilized so many different local, state, and federal agencies from across the state. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the Federal Bureau of Investigation assists us in every step of this investigation. As you heard Leslie say, thousands of hours have been invested in finding Summer, thousands of 170 interviews have been done. Many of these individuals have been spoken to more than one time. While we haven't said a lot about details about the investigative actions that's taken place, please know that we've never stopped. I deeply appreciate the many rescue squads, the EMAs, and volunteer fire department for their help. And the support of the citizens and the communities of this county is just unbelievable and overwhelming. With the encouragement we get, with the food during the searches we've done, and all the law enforcement officers and agencies throughout the state of Tennessee. It's just phenomenal how everybody pitched in and helped us with these searches and with this investigation. And many of you have asked why that we didn't recruit private citizens to assist in these searches. With the extreme dangerous terrain we were experiencing in searches, we were able to monitor each group, their movement, and their location. That way we knew that everybody came back to the command post safely. After the initial searches, then we had to go back and obtain the landowner's permission to search again. We could not allow or even grant permission for private individuals on these people's property. And while I can promise you that we will continue to conduct targeted searches in the Beach Creek area as new information is developed, we'll also continue to follow up on any legitimate leads. And it's been the goal of this team since day one to find Summer. We've never stopped, we've never slowed down, we deal with it every day. And that's the whole purpose of this, to let you all know, despite what you hear, what you see, we haven't stopped. The men and women of these agencies have worked tireless, hours and hours and hours. And I commend every one of them for the job they've done, and we're going to continue till we find something.
Now, as I mentioned, we can't speak to specifics, but we will take a few questions.
A few months ago, you guys said that the parents were not cooperating anymore. Has there been any change in that, especially as Don Wells is incarcerated here in this facility?
We're not going to characterize cooperation at this time. Honestly, doing so does nothing but create more speculation, and it doesn't benefit the investigation. But thank you for asking.
Is there still a reward being offered if any information over Summer is done?
Well, I can tell you that law enforcement did not coordinate that reward, so you would need to reach out to the Churchill Rescue Squad for information in that aspect.
Are the boys still in DCS custody?
That's not something we can speak to.
We do know that last year you guys pushed out some information about the red truck. I know that this is on here, but just so we, can talk about it with you guys. Is that still something you're looking for? Do you still want people to submit tips, or is that over and we're just not looking for the red truck anymore?
I'm gonna call on TBI Special Agent in charge, Garrett Newport, just to talk about that and where that stands.
I would tell you yes, just to eliminate. We still don't have a good timeline when that was observed. People in frequent areas on a regular basis can get days mixed up. We still want to figure out who, if possible, and if that's even a legitimate lead. So as she said earlier, we followed a lot of dead leads that didn't produce anything. So that obviously is still something we want to put to bed, but it's not. We still can't pinpoint a date and an exact location. That's right.
Anybody else?
When this first came out, you guys said that Summer was last seen walking away from her home. That was like one of the initial reports that night. And then things kind of changed the following days. Is there any evidence that she walked away from home, or any evidence leading toward an abduction, or do we have any evidence of anything that night otherwise?
We don't have anything specific, and I think what's important to note there is that the sheriff mentioned how many hours we've put into this investigation and how much time has been spent exploring every possibility: walk-off, abduction, other foul means. And I think that's the thing to keep in mind is it's still really wide open as to the what. We try to stay away from developing theories and just follow facts.
You mentioned that you're continuing to look at this case every day. Are there more searches planned as we're approaching the summer months?
No specific plan. However, if we get specific information about a specific location, building, what have you, we will coordinate with each other to go take a look at that location. What made it hard back in the summer is obviously the foliage. That's why you saw the two searches that were when the leaves were on the ground, so that we could use air assets, and then you could actually see more of what's on the ground at the time. People say, well, leaves to cover things up. Well, moving things around enough, you'll find, you'll see what you're looking for.
In the past, you said that there's no evidence that there was an abduction. Does that still stand?
It still stands.
Do the facts point towards one theory more than another?
No,
as far
they don't.
as what happened?
Not at this point.
Well, thank you guys for being here. I just want to point out one more thing. This case is not cold. We get asked that a lot. It's not. We're talking to the sheriff constantly. We all work together as one team, and we're determined to find answers. Thank you for coming.
They are sometimes called the forgotten grievers, children like Summerwell's three older brothers impacted by family trauma. For the brothers ranging in age from 7 to 13, a double trauma. First, Summer's highly publicized disappearance, and then just weeks later, their removal from their home and placement in state custody, where those brothers of Summerwells have now spent nearly a year themselves. We talked about this with local therapist Julie Burks. She said intensive counseling in these cases like this is a must.
I can tell you, my heart's broken. I'm feeling sad, or I'm really ticked off because, I'm missing this person or whatever. Whereas a child doesn't always have the tools yet or experience of life to understand and how to cope with that in a healthy way.
Burke says children who get enough therapy and complete it can become very resilient and move forward and have a great life. Again, Summerwells still missing tonight. If you have credible tips, call 1-800-TBI-FIND.
Good evening. Tonight, a change in the effort to locate missing 5-year-old girl Summer Wells. Plus, there's a possible new lead that could explain what happened to the little girl.
Tonight, we have exclusive Sky 5 video from the search site, and News Channel 5's Nick Barris tells us a shift in strategy now focuses on the possibility of foul play.
We flew over Summer Wells' home in Hawkins County and Sky 5 to see for ourselves what crews they're up against. After nearly 2 weeks, they found no trace of the little girl, and now the strategy moving forward has changed. This is an aerial view of the family's home on Ben Hill Road in Rogersville. Woods literally surround the home. It's very tough terrain, full of venomous snakes, briar patches, and an occasional bear. Plus, it's been very hot. Crews have spent long days the past 2 weeks doing line searches, as you see here in a field just across from the home. Others hit the woods using bloodhounds, but never finding the girl's scent. The only thing they have found is exhaustion.
I've had multiple of my guys come up to me and tell me, Captain, I'll go to the end, but I'm tired. I'm physically and I'm mentally tired.
So the incident commander says crews are scaling back search operations to focus on more specialized searches. This comes as more attention goes to the possibility that Summer was the victim of foul play. No one is giving up on the search.
We are all one team, and we will not quit until we find Summer Wells.
Summer was said to be planting flowers outside the home next to this camper when she went inside to play and then vanished. Was she abducted? We've learned there are more than 40 registered sex offenders living in the family's zip code, and the TBI now hopes to find the driver of a pickup seen in the area when Summer disappeared, a maroon or red Toyota Tacoma. The person, they say, is not a suspect, but a potential witness who may have heard or seen something that could help. Certainly any solid lead could help. I'm told with no trace of Summer found, it appears less and less likely that she just wandered off and more likely that she is the victim of foul play. No announced suspects at this time, but authorities consider everyone a person of interest. Nick Barris, News Channel 5.
Nick, thank you. And it's worth noting the FBI has now called in its Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team. The CARD team involves experts in intelligence analysis and profiling in criminal cases against children.
She was last seen outside of her home in the 100 block of Ben Hill Road, which is located in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County. A family member reported her missing to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office at approximately 6:30 Tuesday evening. At the time she went missing, Summer was reportedly wearing a gray pants and a pink shirt. She is believed to be barefoot. We do want to encourage the public, especially residents living in the area of Ben Hill Road, to check any trail cameras or security cameras that they might have that could have captured Summer on video or in photographs. We also encourage residents to check any crawl spaces, outbuildings, or sheds that would make for good hiding places. As we mentioned, the search is ongoing. There are a number of agencies involved. I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson to talk more about the search and the conditions that authorities are up against. Sheriff?
Thank you. It's been a very intense 21 hours of a lot of searching, a lot of investigation by 19 different agencies. Last night, we had approximately 60 to 80 people searching in the woods, with a number of law enforcement officers doing the investigation also. Today, we've had over 100 people in the woods searching throughout the whole region. We also have agents with the TBI and the FBI assisting my office. We jointly investigating this whole circumstance. Our main goal is to find Summer and find her safe. We have plenty of help. We don't need any assistance from the local people. We have the professional people out searching, and we just appreciate everybody, their contributions. It's been a tremendous outpour from the community with the water, the food, and the snacks. It's just overwhelming, and it's a very intense investigation. I know the public needs to know things, but it's ongoing, and we will release things as we can when we can. And but our main goal right now is to find Summer.
We'll take a couple of questions, but keep in mind we can't discuss specifics of the investigation.
Absolutely. It's very dense. The terrain is tremendously hard. We have virtually no cell phone service. The radio system we use, which is not that good, we have very little radio communication. We do have several command posts setting up, but what makes it so hard is the communication between the boots on the ground, searching the woods, and the different agencies and officers, and it's very hard to communicate. And you know, we're not like, you know, we're in these small towns or in towns where you got a lot of cell service, and just for instance, when we get texts from the media, you may text and we may get it an hour later, and we have no way to reply to it. And the same way with the officers, and the ECOM Central Dispatch has done an excellent job. TBI has their command post that should arrive soon, and we're going to continue on until we find Summer and put this case to rest.
Do you believe there was foul play involved, and is there any history of this family?
The family are cooperating, and it's really too early to tell. We're still basically just gathering information, and we're in the search mode right now.
Around 11 this morning, it's switched from missing child alerts to Amber Alert. What goes into the decision of putting that Amber Alert out? Can you clarify the difference?
Sure. After the initial search and as we developed more information as part of the investigation, our team made the decision to elevate the alert to an Amber.
And what's the difference between those two alerts?
An endangered child alert is a mid-level alert where a child could potentially be in danger. An Amber alert is, we issue those when we believe a child is in imminent danger of bodily harm or death, and it's the most severe alert.
Since it appeared to be that she walked away from the home, why was it upgraded to an Amber alert? Can you clarify that just a little bit more?
Well, the bottom line is we don't know where she is at this time. Again, there was the initial search. We acted, and the Sheriff's Office acted on the information available at the time. And as we learned more in the first several hours into today, it led us to issue an Amber Alert.
Well, when the Amber Alert was issued, you said there was new information that led you to believe that Summer might be in more danger. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I can't. That's part of the investigation.
Sheriff Paulson mentioned earlier that he's asking the community folks that you have enough resources here. What's your message to the community that they feel like they want to help in some regard? How can they help at this time?
If they see something or know something, they need to tell somebody. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't want to get involved. They want to reply to us or respond anonymously. That's fine, as long as we find Summer. That's the main thing right now. And we're talking about the Amber Alert. When they raise that up another level, that helps more people paying more attention. You get more clues, you get more calls. And then
Summer might be in more danger. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I can't. That's part of the investigation.
Sheriff Paulson mentioned earlier that he's asking the community folks that you have enough resources here. What's your message to the community that they feel like they want to help in some regard? How can they help at this time?
if they see something or know something, they need to tell somebody. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't want to get involved. They want to reply to us or respond anonymously. That's fine, as long as we find Summer. That's the main thing right now. And we're talking about the Amber Alert. When they raise that up another level, that helps more people paying more attention. You get more clues, you get more calls, and then everybody can call that 1-800-TBI-FIND, and it all goes into a database, which helps us in an area where we don't have a lot of communication anyway. So TBI helps us with that.
And we know the FBI was called in fairly early. Can you kind of explain why that decision was made?
Well, we have an excellent relationship working together, and just like if this case stems outside of Hawkins County, then you have the TBI to help with that. But if it expands on out past the state of Tennessee, then you got the FBI. So we're all on the same page, and we just keep on going. We're just working together as a team. All have the same goal. Let's find Summer.
One more question.
Can you expand on maybe just the area where you guys are searching? something in a certain area, they should be on a heightened alert if they're in a certain area or part of town.
Well, the train and stuff is like you see here. This is what the people are searching in. But if they seen something yesterday evening or afternoon that we need to know, that's when they need to make the call or come by the command post.
Any kind of landmarks in sort of an area that you're searching?
Just around Ben Hill Road in that area. That's the main, because she's 5 years old and she left the house, and evidently she got a little farther than they expected.
Do you have any idea how much territory your volunteers and searchers are covering?
A lot. We have so many out there that they've broadened the scope. Plus, we've been able to utilize aircraft. THP's been wonderful with their helicopter and the medical helicopters with THP's FLIR at night. They've been flying today, and it's just outstanding how the community's come to help us, plus all the different resource agencies and the rescue squads and EMSs and all the law enforcement. And we just hope that we have a great result when we find Summer.
Have you gotten any news?
At this time, we're following up on any and all leads. Again, thank you for being here. We encourage the public to call in any credible information to 1-800-TBI-FIND, and we continue to hold out hope for the best possible outcome. Thank you.
Many people have asked.
And it has now been 6 weeks since Summerwells was last seen at her Hawkins County home.
And after almost 1,100 tips, still no sign of the missing 5-year-old.
Last night, dozens bowed their heads praying for the safe return of Summer. One woman who attended said she felt compelled to do so because she regrets believing rumors circulating on social media regarding the case.
It's about Summerwells. It's about finding that baby. And that's what brought me here. I just don't want to listen to social media no more. It's basically tore me up.
The Amber Alert for Summerwells issued by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation remains active. The TBI says they have received just under 1,100 tips in the case, but have yet to get a solid lead on where Summer may be. So earlier in the day, Summerwells' parents, they appeared in juvenile court. Summer's mother confirmed off camera that her sons are in the custody of the Department of Child Protective Services. She did not want to share why her other children were removed from the home. Summer's father, Don Wells, says the other children are safer now, but did not elaborate. Summer's mom says it is a completely separate situation than Summer's disappearance.
Well, today, for the first time, we are learning the lead investigator in the Summerwells case is speaking out. The pressure has been immense on the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office to figure out what happened to a little girl who reported missing back in June.
Ansley Daniel has been following this case closely. She has an update. Ansley?
Josh and Sarah, there was frustration, some anger, and the presence of a heavy burden when I sat down with the detective John Pruitt with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office. He's led this investigation into Summer's disappearance. He told me that as difficult as this case is to work, he is nowhere near giving up.
It is a lot to shoulder, it's a lot to burden. We have a missing child that we haven't found yet.
Almost 10 months and so much heartache. And investigators aren't immune from that hurt. The question of what happened to Summerwells still has no answer.
There haven't been very many cases like this. I have never worked a missing child case with all these different entities and agencies involved.
The lead investigator on the case says his days are devoted to finding her.
My day, I check tip line and voicemail.
Nearly 10 months and still no answers.
Tonight, News Channel 11 dives deeper into the disappearance of Hawkins County 6-year-old Summerwells. For the first time, we have heard from the lead investigator with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office.
And tonight he tells us what this investigation looks like right now.
Josh and Sarah, the case of Summerwells does not look much different today than what it did when I first reported live on authorities searching out in Beech Creek back in June of last year. Now authorities are spending more time than ever before fielding through false tips as well as false hope.
It's sporadic. I mean, one day you might get 5 leads, the next couple of days you might not get anything. But it's been an active investigation that's I've been devoted to since it first occurred.
As Summer's disappearance approaches the 10-month mark, the scenarios of what happened the night of June 15th continue to grow.
The wandering away, sneaking off to go play or whatever she may have done, that is a viable option.
The night she went missing, authorities said she walked away from her house. The following day, an Amber Alert was issued.
People are probably tired of hearing this. All possibilities are on the table. We're not completely eliminating the abduction idea, but there's nothing to lead us to believe that we need to focus on that alone.
In the height of the search, those on the ground combed through miles of tough, rugged terrain, leaving many to wonder how there was no trace of little Summer.
She was like 3 foot, 40 pounds. It would be a lot easier for her to get through some of the foliage. And she's lower to the ground, smaller body, a lot more flexible.
Along with the ground search, Pruitt says investigators have poured through data.
We have gone through reams and reams of data. We've collected statements. We've chased down every credible lead that has been given to us. And we are still not much further along than when we started. Surveillance videos, GPS locations, cell phone tracking, cell phone data, electronic data, anything that we could think of to get our hands on.
As time continues to pass since that June day, it's increasingly hard to hold on to hope.
Well, we're 9 months in. I would hope that she is still alive somewhere, but we also have to be open to the idea that is no longer a possibility. Tip line and voicemail when I first get here. I do phone calls and follow-ups on any credible leads I've got. I follow up on anything that I didn't get to a good conclusion the day before. Then I go into my normal caseload of any new cases I've got, follow-ups on them.
They've received nearly 2,000 tips.
I will follow up on everything I can to try to bring closure for this.
Self-proclaimed online investigators and social media sleuths have turned this case into a mess of ideas. And tips have come in from everywhere across the U.S. and even overseas. That help, Pruitt says, has led to little more than time wasted.
If these people want to help so much, we always accept applications to certified individuals.
He says the investigation has led to the continued thought that if Summer is found, it will be nearby.
I believe that she would probably be somewhere close by, because we found nothing to lead us to believe that she's been abducted or trafficked out of the area.
Pruitt works alongside the TBI and FBI. Along with the ground search, Pruitt says investigators have poured through data. Almost a year into the case, and Detective Pruitt says it still remains a very active investigation.
I'm not going to let it go cold.
Tonight, News Channel 11 dives deeper into the disappearance of Hawkins County 6-year-old Summer Wells. And for the first time, we're hearing from the lead investigator at the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office in charge of the case. Tonight, he tells us what the Wells family relationship with law enforcement looks like now, as Summer's father remains in jail and lawyers are involved.
In February, Sheriff Ronnie Lawson told News Channel 11 that the Wells family had lawyers and were no longer cooperating. The lead investigator for the case explained how that, as well as how her father's current stint in jail on unrelated charges, hasn't moved this case forward.
The family has attorneys involved, and that is not a direct line of communication.
That tone is quite the change from what it was last year when Summer was first reported missing.
It was pretty good. We would show up about every day, make sure that they were okay, and had a decent line of communication with them.
About a month later, in July, Child Protective Services removed her 3 older brothers from their home and appointed attorneys to the case.
They have been appointed for other instances, but it bleeds over into this investigation as well.
Summer Wells' father, Don, was arrested late last year for driving under the influence and violating probation.
Going off of that, obviously we know that Don Wells is incarcerated here. Does that play a role at all in this investigation?
No, ma'am.
On February 7th, a judge ordered him to serve the remainder of his 11 months and 29-day sentence in the Hawkins County Jail.
With Mr. Wells, he knows when he first came into the institution, he knows at any time he wants to talk to let their staff know, and I will get to him as quick as I can.
But Pruitt hopes the Wells family knows, despite the other legal troubles, they can reach out anytime.
Communication between me and the family have changed, but I hope that they still understand that they can come talk to me at any time they want to.
You can find all of today's coverage from our interview with Detective Pruitt, as well as more in-depth reports on the search for Summer.
And we overcome those situations. From here on out, it is going to be providing our team the rest and assurance to make sure that we can provide more and more fresh body, fresh eyes to be able to come in and help search for summerwells.
I see that every day.
As far as my office, it's been pretty hard because my office don't stop. We're still answering calls, still doing investigations, come in, and we're still running the jail, and I'm alternating the officers out.
I'm not spooking them, am I? Did y'all figure out what we were all at that press conference up there, and out of the blue, here comes a horse running down the road.
Plastic guy, when we coming down, probably 4 miles out there over 2 guys on the sled.
Yeah. Any idea where he came from or anything? Are y'all gonna try to hold on to him? If some...
Right here in this game.
Oh.
That lady said the buddy did here. She's gonna try to find them.
Yeah.
I think they're down on the side of the road.
Somebody will be missing that horse for sure. I reckon they'll come looking for him.
Should have been out on the road with his feet anyhow like that.
Yeah.
Can't blame the horse.
Yeah. It's yep. All right. Well, I'm glad he didn't get hurt. Appreciate it.
Remember me in a Bible cracked and faded by the years. Remember me in a sanctuary filled with silent prayer. And age to age and heart to heart, bound by grace and peace. Child of wonder, child of God, I remembered you. Remember me. Remember me when the color of a sunset fills the sky. Remember me when you pray and tears of joy fall from your eyes. And age to age and heart to heart, bound by grace and peace. Child of wonder, child of God, I remembered you. Remember me. Remember me when the children leave their Sunday school with smiles. Remember me when they're old enough to teach, old enough to preach, old enough to leave. And age to age and heart to heart, bound by grace and peace. Child of wonder, child of God, I remember you. Remember me.
Age to age and heart to heart, child of wonder, child of God.
Remember me.
Age to age and heart to heart, child of wonder, child of God.
I'm not going to let it go cold.